Welcome back to another episode of NFT Catcher Podcast. We'd like to remind everybody that nothing on the show is meant as financial advice, and to please do your own research. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
Now the subject is NFTs.
They're known as non-fungible tokens, or NFTs.
NFTs are exploding in popularity.
This is a technology that will forever change the way people interact.
So it is happening whether you understand it and like it or not.
This phenomenon is moving. The digital.
You have now joined Jenny from the blockchain and Michael Keene on the NFT Catcher Podcast.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the NFT Catcher Podcast with me, Jenny from the blockchain, and my co-host, Michael Keene. For today's interview, we have Josh Ong joining us, who is an avid NFT collector. He is a co-founder of Boardroom Ventures. He is a Bored Ape Yacht Club council member, and he basically does everything under the sun. He has his hands in all the pots, and it's about time we had him on the show. So Josh Ong, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we just had Jasmine on recently, and we were talking about NFCBA, and she was like, "Oh, you got to get Josh Ong on the show." And we're like, "Oh yeah, we haven't had him on yet."
Sweet.
But yeah, I mean, I've seen you at a bunch of events, and you're everywhere. You're always a part of a bunch of stuff. So I'm excited to dive into everything you're working on, and kind of hear about your story and everything. Why don't we start with your Web3 journey, how you got into NFTs?
Yeah, my first NFTs were CryptoKitties in 2017. So I signed up for Discord, joined the the Dapper server, and was like, what are these cats on the blockchain? This is crazy. You were breeding them, and I was interested. I was interested in crypto at the time, but I think the collectability and the gamification and what that meant for being able to have digital goods was really interesting to me. And then
who told you about it? Let's go there a little slower, because that's actually really interesting. That's so early. Who told you that? And then from there, how did didn't it just seem because I remember the first time I heard about I remember I saw an NBA Top Shot ad before I knew about NFTs or got into NFTs. I was like, why would I would I pay money for that? So who told you about it? So how, in your journey, and then what clicked for you? Why did you like it?
That's a good question. I don't remember how I found out about CryptoKitties. It was probably Twitter. And I think what happened is I had some Ethereum from that was a kind of its own crazy bull run in 2017 and early 2018. And so I just I bought some Ethereum. I think I bought it for a couple $100 or something. And then I just think I saw on the timeline people yo, we're using Ethereum to buy these cats, and you can breed these rare ones. And it was it reminded me of Pokemon. It reminded me of some of the games that you play where you're trying to work your way toward these really rare items. So I remember seeing people talking about oh, I'm trying to get the mystical whatever, or been on a Genesis one, and I didn't fully understand it at the time. It kind of clogged up Ethereum, and my cats are probably worthless now. But it was an interesting way to dive in and to be okay, this is what an NFT is, or this is what you can do with it. I think after that, market changed pretty quickly in 2018, and so I didn't stick around a whole lot. But in I think I bought some Gods Unchained packs. Those are just some trading cards. There were a couple other projects that I kept an eye on. But then 2020, I was heard about the NBA Top Shot beta on the timeline, and I noticed that it was Dapper Labs. People were talking about they made the CryptoKitties. And I was like, oh shoot, so CryptoKitties are now basketball videos. I was like, all right, let's take a look at that. And so that's a little bit of the connection is Dapper with CryptoKitties in 2017, and then they came back with NBA in 2020, and I started looking into it more. I remember listening to these some of the early podcasts that people were making, and just interviewing the team or trying to understand what are these things, why would we take these I remember a big thing was well, you don't own the rights to the video, so what do you own? And I think something that really stuck for me was Rohan, the CEO, was talking about how when they were negotiating with NBA to make NBA Top Shot, they talked a lot about tangibility and the sense of ownership. And so one thing that they wanted to do was, could they make a good that, just like, you know, when you buy NBA licensed products like a hat or a jersey, something, like you own that, and like you can do pretty much whatever you want with it, right? They wanted to work toward a level of decentralization where when you had a Top Shot moment, you would have a certain feeling of like, okay, I own this, I can keep it, pass it on, I can burn it if I want. But that was really interesting to me, and just starting that conversation around what do, you know, digital collectibles look like, and how do we develop a sense of tangibility and presence and connection with them. And so that just led me down the rabbit hole in 2021, and you know, was playing Zed Run with these like digital horses. Found out when I was talking with some friends on Twitter Spaces about like, you know, CryptoPunks and like digital membership and what it looks like to kind of have an NFT and be able to signal to be part of this community. And a week later, these crazy monkey things dropped, the Bored Ape Yacht Club. So I was like, oh, I was just talking about that idea of like NFT as membership, and here's a kind of experimental project that's trying it. I'm going to join it. So I like minted 1 ape, and then things just went nuts, right? It was like it sold out, and then I started hosting spaces and meetups for the community, and was just like really threw myself into like being an ape and making that my digital identity. And it was a wild ride. And along the way, people started asking like, hey, I see you work in marketing. I had an agency at the time. I was doing marketing and comms, and ended up deciding like, hey, I think that there's something here where I can take my professional background and my collecting, you know, hobby, and bring them together and make something for Web3. So now I'm in it full time. It's been crazy.
Damn. I got a couple follow-up questions from that. One, do you still have your Top Shot collection?
Yeah, that's all like locked up or something. But
did you lock all your moments when they came out with locking?
Yeah, I mean, I still held it. I mean, it was crazy. I put a couple $100 in Top Shot, and at one point, you know, on like Evaluate Moment or something, it was worth like $100K, and I was like, well, this is crazy. I sold some stuff. Like I sold some of the first legendary and the first rare that I got in my packs from Series 1. But I think like I have some fun stuff from Series 2 and a couple stuff from Series 1. So I'm not like a Top Shot whale by any means, but I've tried to keep up on it and have kept my collection. And some of us I think probably can commiserate with this, but I'm so much of like a hoarder when it comes to collectibles that it's like I've just held a lot of stuff, and it's like I held my Crypto Kitties, I held most of my Top Shot moments, and certainly should have timed things better, but at the same time, like I like to collect. I hoard sneakers and cards and everything. It's just it's hard for me to sell things.
You're a true collector. Your ape that you minted, is that the one that you're still rocking now, or did you end up like selling it and buying another one?
Yeah, so that's call him Maui Prime because he's like a robot with a Hawaiian shirt. So was trying to like build this whole IP and backstory for him. But yeah, that's the ape I minted. So it's like,
wow,
you know.
Wow, that's a lucky one. That's a really nice ape, dude.
And you don't hear people like still with their ape that they minted too. Like that's pretty impressive.
And the only one you minted, is that the only one you've ever owned? Did you ever like own more, buy and sell?
I have another one. It's like a space ape that I picked up kind of later that summer, and then had some mutants and stuff. But yeah, that was like my for the first few months. It was like I just had that one ape, and so I was like, obviously should have like bought like 100 like Dingley and everyone else, but was just kind of like, oh, this is my one membership in the club, and I'm having fun like meeting other people and hanging out, and that was just like kind of. I remember so like that weekend when apes sold out, I remember like I had this really Web 2 headshot as my PFP if I recall, and so it was like just very corporate. I think I was like, you know, looking for clients or whatever. And I changed it to my ape, and I just tweeted, I was like, we're going for like an ape avatar for the weekend. And then I just never changed it back. Like it was just funny. But it's one of the ways that I thought about it as I was going along was like some of the work that I do is as a publicist. So I've like worked as publicist for some musicians and, bands and stuff. And I was like, I'm kind of just like my apes publicist. So I would do interviews with like these magazines, websites, and then they would like ask about like what's going on with apes or NFTs, or like they'd want to use the ape in their like establishing image or something. And so it just like the SEO on my ape got like really good. I think partly because I was just obnoxious about like putting that ape out there. And so I remember like one morning I woke up and it was like my ape was the thumbnail for Google for like NFT avatar. And I was like, oh, that's crazy.
What?
So it was like good SEO at some point. I know there's other apes that are up there now, but it was a fun ride.
Damn, that's crazy. Yeah, you really put your ape out there.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Crazy times. Crazy. Yeah. Do you ever think about selling your ape, or you're just kind of like, nah, I just really want to keep this forever?
I mean, I think I'm attached to it at this point. So I think it'd be kind of bonkers if I sold it and I would be like, whoa, what happened to Josh? Right? Like a lot of that ape's definitely more famous than my face at this point. But yeah, I mean, there's times where you look at like the highs and then the lows, and you're like, oh shoot, like would it have made financial sense to sell at the top? Like, sure, but it was very much tied up in my friendships, my work. I had that ape was licensed in a bunch of places, and so I'd actually lose some revenue from that. And so, there was a degree to which I just made that choice, like, quote unquote, forever ape, and tried not to look back too much. So it's funny, like I'm fortunate enough that like the floor price of an ape like doesn't affect me that much, because I'm just kind of
you've made your way. So you're not worried about. Yeah, you're not worried about
my path.
What no doubt. I hear that.
So yeah, and you were talking about consulting too. I remember you and Benjamin were like the two people that I knew that were doing consulting, and I didn't really know anyone else that was doing kind of like consulting in Web3. And I'm sure there's a lot more people now, but yeah, I just remember you guys are like the main people, like, and people would sometimes reach out to me like, hey, you do consulting? I'm like, no, but I know two people that do, like Benjamin and Josh Ong. So yeah, and you had said that you have a marketing background and that's why you got into consulting. And I know you have your hands in a bunch of different pots. I know you're chatting with Cryptoids too, which Steph said she saw you, I don't know, was it a couple weeks ago at the New York Comic-Con?
Yeah.
Said she saw you there.
Yeah, we got to hang out for a little bit. I've received the t-shirts and the swag that they were giving out. So like my apartment was pretty close to the convention center, so she dropped by and picked them up. So it was good to see her. I got some shirts for the kids and everything. It was fun. Was it accidental? I think to a certain extent, like it wasn't planned on my part. I was just kind of doing my work in Web 2, which is a lot around like branding and go to market and, communications for helping, clients think about media outreach and positioning and things like that. And I just started getting inquiries from like projects who were like, hey, see you're active in Web 3, see you like part of that conversation. And also you seem to know marketing just from your background. Like, can you help us? And the first couple of projects I was like, yeah, sure. Let's see what we can do. And it's like, this is what I would do in Web 2 and this is how I would do it in Web 3. And we started working, in different capacities. And, I think one of the things that I think about was like, as I was becoming like an influential voice in this space, like how do I use that responsibility well, and try and be really upfront about projects that I was working with, and also like be effective with clients on helping them think through the best ways for them to go to market. And so a lot of my work actually ended up dividing between, it's like legacy brands that wanted to work. They wanted to come into Web3 and they needed someone to help them think it through. So a lot of the strategy side. And so worked with like StockX at one point, a bunch of other like really fun brands to think through like what their Web3 offerings would look like and whether to enter the space. And then if they did, what that would be. And then kind of some established NFT projects, working with them, helping them think through, community and marketing and all that stuff. And then occasionally like newer drops. It's not as much obviously in this market, but, helping either brand new projects or artists and other things to release some new stuff in Web3. So definitely been an adventure the last couple of years. I brought on a couple other partners and we like launched, and then like Terra Luna collapse happened, and then FTX and all that stuff. And I was like, oh shoot. So it's, we've really had to learn and grow, I think, because marketing in this space has evolved in a lot of different ways. There was a time where I would do advisory work and just kind of get the word out, and things would mid because it was like everybody was super speculative about exciting new projects. That's not the case anymore. And so we just have to get more creative, more targeted, and smarter about, how we help brands get in front of their customers.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do you still have like Web2 brands kind of like reaching out like, hey, we want to get into Web3? Or, are they kind of like, oh, bear market doesn't seem like a good time to be getting in?
Yeah, I mean, we're still working with a handful of Web2 brands, and we're like behind the scenes, we're really excited about some of the stuff that they're thinking through and they're building. I think there's a lot
What do you tell these brands? What's your pitch to them? Why do you come into Web3? How do you come into Web3?
Yeah, I mean, I think my pitch to them is Web3, because it gives you the power to align incentives with your community, is one of the most powerful accelerants for brand building when done right. I'm sure a lot of brands have come in and not done it right, and they've seen, some blowback or some, they kind of have these communities that are disgruntled. But it is really incredible to watch when things align and community starts to go to bat and be excited, and they're holding and along for the ride. They're contributing from a creative perspective. And so I have an exercise I do with clients sometimes where if they're just starting out on their Web3 journey, we actually take a look at like 6 or 7 different buckets of their business that they could potentially kind of like decentralize. And often like when you're working with like some of these bigger brands, they can't just like throw up a DAO and like give away their IP rights and just like let their holders make every single decision. It's like, I think of it as like a spectrum where we take a look at a number of different things, and legal's going to shut a couple of those down, or, like marketing's come in and be like, I can't do that. Or like creatives, they come in and be like, no. So every brand's different, and you just have to kind of stretch them a little bit to say like, hey, this is going to be outside your comfort zone because you're used to complete control. And there's a certain degree of power that comes with complete control, right? You have the creative freedom, it's very predictable for the most part. And it's like, what is it like to open your hand a little bit, like let loose a little bit, trust your community, and think about a Web3 product that could live that out. Because the reality is like, if you don't want to decentralize anything as a brand, then why are you in Web3? Like, just stay in Web2. It's fine. No one's making you, make a token or an NFT or, use the blockchain in some different way. And so that's an exercise we do. And I think there's some really interesting stuff coming down the pipeline, some that I'm working on and some that, I know about and haven't touched directly. But there's also a flip side to it, which is like plenty of brands kind of spun up these innovation teams just to like play around with it. And then with the recession or pseudo recession, like some of those budgets got cut. Like they're just companies are like, yeah, we're like, if they're tightening their belts, they're like, that's one of the first things to go, just because they don't necessarily see a business model there, or they don't like the risk, or the stories change. And so it's not even like kind of headlines and brand, like kind of old words to win there. So I think that it's a mixed bag there, but certainly still optimistic on what some of the world's largest and most innovative brands are building in Web3, hopefully coming soon.
No doubt. What was that original quote you said? Align incentives, right?
Yeah,
at the beginning of that question. What?
I think Web3 gives brands the power to align incentives with their community.
And how would you suggest specifically? Like, how does that look to you? How do you like, want the incentives to be aligned. I kind of know what you mean. So like you align the incentives where like the value of what you're doing goes up because it's aligned with what the value of the company's building. Is that how I'm understanding it?
Yeah, that's part of it. I mean, I think like I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
With the two games that I play. So one is Hearthstone, which is like from Blizzard. It's like a World of Warcraft collectible card game, digital. And one is Parallel, which is a NFT, Web3 based trading card game that's set in this like science fiction world and space. And the primary difference between Hearthstone and Parallel is they're both digital card games. One of them is collectible and one of them is tradable. And the difference is like when Hearthstone, when Blizzard made Hearthstone, they made a really conscious choice to not make the cards tradable. And so you can destroy your digital cards to get new cards. And so you can keep like collecting, but like, unless you sell your account, which is illegal, there's really no way for those cards. And the cards aren't even worth anything because they can always just destroy them and make new ones, right? There's just not, it's not collectible in the way that like Magic the Gathering, or it's not tradable in the way that like Magic the Gathering and Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh were in the physical realm. And so we lost something in that transition to digital. Now, certainly we gained a lot of stuff, like the ability to kind of like play remotely and, not having your cards, damaged and all sorts of stuff. Parallel is trying to do something new. And what they're trying to do is like, and, Gods Unchained before it. And there's plenty of other, Web3 card games. But the way that Parallel thinks about aligning its collectors and its players to win together. Like if the game wins, they win. The reality is like if Hearthstone wins, it's not that I necessarily win. I just like I play a game, I pay money or not, and maybe I could be competitive in the esports scene if I like cared enough. But in general, it's like the brand wins and I don't win. What is it like? Like if Parallel wins and I'm an early collector, or I hold the token, or I create new NFTs with some of their cards that they let you replicate. If I am part of the DAO that's managing the things, or if I play on teams and win stuff in tournaments, like there's all sorts of different entry points to say like, hey, if Parallel wins, I win as well by being an active community member. Like that to me is exciting as a brand builder, because what you can do when it comes to activating your community and your fans, content creation, and kind of influence and like, social media. And another example I think is like Pudgy Penguins and what they did with Walmart, where the community went out and they bought up a bunch of the toys. And it's not like, Pudgy was like, you guys, if you're a holder, you have to buy 10 toys or something. Like there was just some excitement around the community to see the IP that they can license and share a part in, and IP from that community and some of their friends, like on the shelves at Walmart. That's incredible. And then to have a sort of street team that's like going out to visit the different stores, creating content around that, buying the toys for like kids to give away this holiday, or to give away to kids this holiday. Like some really amazing initiatives came out of the community from that. Does the community win if Pudgy wins? I hope so. Right. And I think Luca sees it that way, which is like more NFTs can be licensed to make more characters. It gives a business model for the brand to then be able to give back to holders through events and digital experiences and other things that they want to do.
Yeah, I agree. Luke is doing two things there. He's being very smart. He needs to sustain the brand. He's selling these toys, doing awesome stuff with that. And he knows that he needs to reward the holders, especially the OGs. And he's going to do stuff for that. Like he's not dumb. That's a good example you brought up.
Yeah. Another example, like Artifact, but which got bought by Nike this week, they dropped a special shoe for people who minted one of each of the Air Force Ones that were like tied to the different clone types. And the people who minted one of each were like already, you could probably consider them whales in the project, because you had to have like the really rare types to be able to get that. But they tapped into like sneaker culture, which is like this like pastiche style shoe that has like one of each of the different types like and so it looks kind of Frankenstein. They call it like a what the, because it was like a what the dunk, because it just looks really crazy as a shoe. So they only made 40 pairs because that's how many people were minted that. And it's like, look, you could do that in Web3. You could just go through your customer list and be like, all right, well, who shipped all these things? But like, there was something really special about having that public information on the blockchain. You can just track it, see who bought all of these. We know where their wallets are. We can, airdrop it to them. And there's this moment where like people are like, oh, I minted all those, and they go check their wallets and they're like, I got this really rare shoe, and then I can claim the physical if I want, or I could sell that. That's really special. And I think we were at risk of losing that in the digital world. And I guess one of the things that really clicked for me when I got excited about like, okay, I want to build an agency and kind of really build in Web3 was I think I had this realization, like in the physical world, you have this like rent or own mentality. And that, maybe that's real estate, but it could even be like cars and, other types of property. And I think the way that Web 2 was going with the tech giants, we were at risk of continually renting in the digital world. And Web 3, what I get excited about is the possibility that we could potentially own things in the digital world through a decentralized ledger. And that can give power back to the people in a certain way. And I think to me, like the cautionary tale was like the Ready Player One, where it's like, people didn't really have that full ownership. They lost all their items. They get like indentured in the, debt, whatever. Like that's just like a really dystopian view of a world where there's a metaverse, an extremely digital and online culture, but tech giants have monopolized the digital goods so that people don't have the power that comes to ownership. So I can get kind of like, on a soapbox about that, but partly because like, that's what I'm preaching to brands is like, okay, like how can you help your community also have a certain sense of ownership? And that might not be like shares in your company because that's illegal usually, but like it can be different things. And I think with BAYC, what we saw was like, it can be sharing your intellectual property by giving IP rights to your holders. I think where BAYC is in the proliferation of like the ape image and all 10,000 of them like around the world, like it wasn't done like in spite of giving that IP away. It succeeded because the founders were generous, was saying like, hey, if we give our community the rights to use these things, they can do more with it than they ever could have on their own. So that's the possibility. That's the dream. It can get a little idealistic at times, but yeah, I mean, I think that's what we're fighting for.
I love that. We've talked about a bunch of Web3, activations that are doing really cool things. Artifact, Parallel, you brought up, Yuga, obviously. I've seen a lot too that I like recently that I think the cream is kind of rising to the top a little bit. What have you seen? What are some other, you could rattle off a few that you think are doing really cool things in Web3 with NFTs or whatever it is?
Nice.
What are you liking these days?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a ton of really great stuff on the art side, and that community stayed really strong even through the bear. And I know that there was a lot of kind of speculative pressure on top of the generative art and all that. But like, so seeing what Jordan's doing over at Prohibition, he just partnered with Fiat to do a bunch of like artist stuff. They're a kind of similar to Art Blocks, where they want to bring, kind of generative art as a platform, but they're building maybe a more kind of mainstream experience for something that's kind of like more down market than what Art Blocks tends to be right now with like core collectors. I've been watching Camel, who left Happy Steels to work with Zynga to launch Sugartown. And I think he's been doing a great job of just helping to connect Zynga to Web3, and not just him, the whole team. So, Zynga did a free mint for Sugartown. They're doing these like challenges, like, play the game. And now they have these like new tokens coming out that'll be part of it. So I think that there's something really interesting there. Yeah. What other projects are fun right now? What are you seeing that you're excited about?
Well, I think Starbucks is doing really, really cool stuff. I think Starbucks Odyssey is very cool.
Yeah.
I think I'm really surprised, pleasantly surprised the volume DraftKings Rainmakers is doing. I think they're like season 1 was decent volume, but they've really stepped it up this year and people are really enjoying it. And I think that that's a really cool thing. So Rare, obviously very similar. And we've been seeing, I don't know much about it, but CSGO on the Mythos chain. You familiar with that? They do more volume than anybody now in blockchain volume. It's CSGO. It's called like D-Market on the Mythos chain. We're always on cryptoslam.io and it's so yeah, go ahead.
That's crazy. So did they figure out a way to take the CSGO skins, but then like mint them as NFTs and then trade them?
I tried to go sign up and figure what it is. So I don't know exactly. I can't, it's on the Mythos chain, which I don't know anything about. But their volume has made the Mythos chain the second voluminous chain. So like, let me look over the past 30 days, they've done 37 million in sales, 1.7 million transactions. Bored Apes has done 18 million in sales. Gods Unchained 15 million. DraftKings 11 million. So Rare 11. CryptoPunks 9. D-Market 37.
Wow.
So I'm not sure exactly. I can't say exactly what's being traded, how decentralized, but it's on the Mythos chain. CSGO. I know we do these stats and this started creeping up. Remember, Jenny, like 3-4 months ago, it started creeping up the list. It was number 6 and number 5, and now it dominates. And this was all in the last couple months.
That's bonkers.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, CSGO are like the OG NFTs, right? I mean, we're like trading those.
Worth like I don't know anything about it, to be honest with you. I didn't know anything about it. But the numbers don't lie. We saw it coming up, and yeah. So those are some of the ones. I like the stuff like the things happening right now. Obviously, there's cool stuff like Snow. You mentioned Art Block Snowfro just dropped something the other day that looks really cool. There's all kinds of good stuff happening with art, especially. Like we love the Ghost Club, and the ones that I see kind of creeping up the list over time are the activations that are doing something. You have a game involved. You have gamification to some degree. So I think that's kind of what we've always talked about: gaming, tickets, loyalty, all that kind of stuff. That's what Web3 is perfect for, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm definitely keeping a close eye on Web3 gaming because I think that there's a, as far as like digital goods, there's a really easy crossover there. But agree, like ticketing is super interesting, and there's some fun stuff. Wicked Craniums is rebooting with, and they're teasing some stuff that they're building. To think about like solutions for musicians and
they got purchased, right? They got purchased by somebody.
Yeah. Caruso, who was like one of the OG community members, basically like took over the community and the IP and then rolled that into like the new vehicle that's going to be building, black chipping. So that, some of the fun stuff they got going on. So they got a really stacked team with some really great music industry veterans.
I still have a cranium.
Oh shoot. Well,
back in the day. Yeah.
There you go. That's OG.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. No, I know. I mean, I'm semi OG at this point, but I'm the first time that I saw you in person was at the speaker dinner before NFT NYC in November 2021. Nice. And you were already a big deal then. You were already like, people were like surrounding you and talking to you. Yeah. And then I saw you recently at Other Block. Definitely seen you around for, but Wicked Craniums was one of the ones, like if you were doing that and Super Yeti and all that stuff, you were in the trenches back in the day.
Yeah. Gutter Cat's coming back.
I know. We have Noah coming on next week. There you
go.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can hear the juicy story, I guess.
Yeah, man. I hope so.
All right. Well, I got one more question for you. I actually wanted to talk to you about killer whales, because that's like a new, I guess, kind of like a Web3 Shark Tank, which I didn't even know about till we had Michael K on. And he was also a contestant. You're a contestant. Nice. And he was like talking about that. And I'm like, wait, what? Killer whales? Like I had never heard of it. And then I started looking into it. And then I was like, oh my God, this looks so sick. So yeah, so that is supposed to be coming out January of next year, which I think
how did they not get you to host this, Jenny? Who's the host?
Well, it's produced by Hello Labs and co-produced by CoinMarketCap. And then there's a bunch of like the whales. I wouldn't consider myself a whale, but there's like a bunch of crypto people. I mean, we had seen K Money.
You wouldn't consider yourself a whale?
No, I'm not a whale. I don't really have that many valuable NFTs, but yeah, I saw the trailer for it, and they started doing like little sneak previews of the judges, and I saw Josh Ong, you were on, and I don't know what you're talking about, but I would love to kind of hear any insight on, you know, you going on Killer Whales and what we kind of have to look forward to with that show coming up.
Yeah, that's fun. The cat's out of the bag because basically we had NDA, like we couldn't talk about being a contestant on the show until they published some of the first trailers. And so just the other day they did it like a fun little spot on K Money as one of the judges, and they clipped. So it's me and Monty, who's the co-founder of Kreatorhood. And so we were talking about this creator NFT solution that we're building at Kreatorhood, where we're trying to help put utility on chain and then have that tie back to helping creators capture some royalties by being able to kind of have that utility tied to their fans, whether they pay that secondary royalty. So we did a pitch to the Killer Whales, and it was like super nerve-wracking because you're in this studio, and if you recognize the shot, it's actually like the Bat Cave in The Dark Knight or something. So it's like, when he like turns on the lights downstairs, and it's like all the like crazy lighting on the ceiling, like that's that same studio. And you got the judges in front of you, and they're like super intimidating. So it was a fun experience. And also like the way that they think about the show is like, it's going to be not just watched by like, NFT people on Web3, like it's going to be hopefully streaming to like a bunch of different people who don't really know what this space is like. And so they were giving us a lot of pointers on like, okay, you can't use these terms, or like, like you're used to kind of talking about it this way, but you got to make sure that people can understand it. And so that was just another dimension where you're talking to the judges, but you're also trying to make sure that you're talking to the audience. And then also it's like, it's not live, but it's like, you're taking the shot and you want to get it right. So, and they had a really diverse panel of judges. And so some of them are, financial whales, like have been really successful in crypto, and others are like content creators, and some who've been really successful in just like being a part of the space and weighing in. So K Money made a joke that, he's lost money on crypto. So that's like someone who really gets it. But he's not necessarily like, like the billionaire bag like you would get on Shark Tank. So yeah, overall it was a really fun experience. Check out the show when it comes out in January. I guess I've seen a bunch of other contestants get revealed. So it's been fun to see kind of who else is going to be on that. And we'll see who's going to sink or swim.
Did you have to do like multiple takes? Like when you, like, were they like, cut, all right, redo that part? Or were they just were like, all right, one and done, just go through with it?
Yeah, no, I mean, I was surprised at like kind of how smooth it all ran. So I was expecting like more takes, but it was like, they just let it run and you chat. And then they kind of like, sometimes they have to reshoot because like, we didn't get this angle, or like, like this thing wasn't said the way that it needed to be said. So there was definitely like, I mean, it's reality TV, so it's definitely less scripted than you would get from like something that's like, you gotta keep doing the takes till you get it right. And then, I think at the same time, it's entertainment too. So that, they're really trying to, we went back and forth at like trying to figure out like, okay, we're going to go on and get like roasted, like, is this going to be like bad for the business or whatever? And they really reassured us. We're choosing projects that we want to like celebrate, and like, yeah, we're going to see if they, let the judges kind of weigh in. And they, when we were on set, they had us like, they didn't want contestants to see other contestants. And so they were like umbrellas that would keep you from like, see each other. So you're like walking around, like kind of hiding.
It's funny.
So it was a very professional experience. And then at the same time, like, I think we all saw in the trailer, like, they put a little drama in there, and it's like pulled some sound bites from people where it's like the judges get spicy. So I know that I'm sure that the producers like, gave them some directions to kind of like, hey, you gotta keep this exciting. So should be a fun show.
When they say sink or swim, what does that mean? Is there like another round? Are you like raising money? Like what's kind of like the end goal? Like why do you want to swim versus sink?
Yeah, that one I'm not 100% sure on. Like I'm not sure what I can say, and I'm not sure what
Okay.
kind of, but basically it's not, I think they've shared this publicly. It's like, it's not a money thing, right? So they're not like, if you swim, you get 100K or whatever. Like they made that choice. I think a lot of it's probably just like legal because of how sensitive things are with crypto right now. They're like, let's not introduce, money on the tokens and all that stuff. And so it's really about kind of whether the judges believe in your project and want to support it. And it's kind of a vote of confidence or no confidence, I think, is the way that I see it. I think there might be some, we weren't really sure going in, like, okay, they're talking about what might be included in how that all ends. I think they're still communicating with everybody.
Got it. Cool. Well, yeah, that's exciting. Killer Whales TV is their Twitter. I guess January. We'll see what happens when it comes out. But Michael, you have any last minute questions?
Yeah. I have two. The first one's a real quick one, but I heard through the grapevine that you are like a karaoke star.
Oh shoot!
I do my research for these. I do my research,
exposed.
And that's what I heard through the grapevine. He's like, "Who would have told?" So, what do you like to sing? What's going on with that?
I love karaoke. I do a lot of kind of like the stuff I like. I'm old. I'm like 40, so I like the stuff from the 90s that I remember. Every once in a while, I'll do like a little bit of Disney because I grew up with that, and then just like some fun songs that you can wail on, and some of the like karaoke classics. Like we did, I did a karaoke session a few weeks ago with the Parallel team, and I'll tell you, like, so the two founders, Kalos and Mr. Gone, they can sing. They started with Shallows from like a star.
They did a duet of the Shallows together.
They did duet of Shallows.
Wow.
And they were killing it. And so I was like, oh shoot, I trust founders that can hit the karaoke. And we did the classics like, Carry On My Wayward Son and Don't Stop Believing and stuff like that. But there was some fun stuff in there. Like someone did a Limp Bizkit piece and like went a little hard. I did a little like Casey and Joe. Joe took us back to some R&B. But yeah, overall, I'll say like I love karaoke. Try and bring the energy. I don't think I'm the greatest singer. Like I think I can just be honest about that. But you don't have to be great at singing to have fun at karaoke. That's one of the fun things. So
love that.
Yeah, maybe next Miami at TNWC or something. We'll have to hit the bar.
Art Basil's coming up.
All right.
Art Basil's coming up. All right, my last thing I want to bring up, this is back a little more on topic. You, I know you like to collect sneakers, cards, probably other things. You've probably thought a lot about should they be tied to digital items, how that should work. I really like what IYK is doing. I've been really watching them. IYK.app, if anyone doesn't know, it's super cool. I've heard one activation where like the NFT always goes to whatever wallet or whoever's holding it. So like if you get a piece, you could tap the NFC chip and transfer it to your wallet. So like even if someone steals it, you could take the NFT as well. So it's almost like the NFT goes literally who has the physical. What's your thought on how we should combine, digital and physical, or should we?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a really clear use case for that link. And, I think a good example is like, I did an angel investment in like 90cc, which is like G Money's kind of crypto fashion brand.
Which is their stuff is powered by IYK.
Yeah. So that it's like you use the IYK, you tap it. And I think they're one of the ones where like you can pull the NFT. If you have physical possession, then you can get digital possession. And that's very much like that authentication. And then they use that for like, I don't know if you've ever played any of the games, but like they'll do like a Wordle challenge, like, and you have to tap the device. And then there's like leaderboard challenges like at in Miami where it's like go tap, like meet a bunch of people and scan their shirts, and the winner, is the one who gets the most over the weekend or gets like all the different ones.
I love that at Art Basel. I love that at Art Basel last year. I thought that was so cool. And then I realized that's why I got into IYK, because I realized they were the ones that put on that activation for June.
Nice.
But yeah, for sure. You can keep going. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, and IYK is doing some really cool stuff. I'm actually doing a drop with them with TBA really soon, and so they're powering our jerseys and working with Route 21 as well. And so it's been great working with them, and they're I think they're really thoughtful about how to build out their platform. And I think so you see sometimes like the digital and the physical linked, and often it's kind of like maybe the physical takes precedence, right? And so it's like maybe the digital is like some kind of like authentication certificate that lives on the blockchain. That makes a lot of sense. And then sometimes you see them diverge, right? And you're like, okay, like, get this buy this NFT, get the physical, but you can sell the NFT, and that could be a digital wearable in a metaverse. It could be, a standalone digital collectible. And I think there's plenty of reasons for a brand to think about what it would look like to have like kind of divergent paths for the digital and the physical. And so you see like a few different schools of thought as far as like how that's going to play out. And I think mostly it really comes down to, as an individual brand, thinking about what your goals are and how that ties back to how you want your community to engage with the product. And sometimes it's a little bit of both. Sometimes it's not. Like, I think we're going to need to see the metaverse. I think we got excited about it in 2021 and early 2022. And also it's just not quite there from a tech platform standpoint, from a content standpoint, and from kind of like a user behavior standpoint. And so, and the hardware, I think, still needs to really develop. And so as those all really level up and we see more companies enter, we're seeing like kind of Nike partner with Fortnite and stuff, like it's going to be super interesting to say like, okay, what are these digital goods that we're going to have in these digital worlds that may also correlate to real world assets and kind of physical goods that we want. But I think we're in this transitional generation where I think that all prior generations prioritized or gave preference to physical assets. And I think we might be starting to see the first generation or two where digital assets have, if not even an equal, but potentially a higher value to some young people. And that's going to be super interesting as we move into the future.
Love that. Great perspectives, man. Throughout the whole show, I really appreciate chatting it up with you and all the knowledge you bring.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been fun chatting it up, telling some stories.
Yes. All right. So we'll go into our last segment here, which is Gas Wars, where we're going to each ask you 5 rapid fire questions that may or may not have to do with NFTs. So yeah, let me get started here. All right. If you had to dye your hair, what color would it be?
Blue.
Okay. Nice.
All right. Mine would be Kelly Green, of course, but I digress.
Nice.
If you had one final meal in New York City, what would it be?
Like pastrami, I think, like a nice pastrami sandwich.
What is your favorite season?
Summer.
What are the most iconic sneakers ever made?
The Air Mags.
I gotta look that up. I don't know what they look
Air
like.
Mags, yeah, I don't know Air Mags.
Those are the Back to the Future
sounds
ones.
familiar. Oh, dope. Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, that's cool. What is your favorite drink?
Water.
Hey, a little H2O.
Yeah, you gotta stay hydrated.
Let's go. What is your favorite museum?
My favorite museum?
I get made fun of for my accent on this one.
No, I was just making sure I heard that properly. Rowley's Museum of Collectibles in Soho, New York. They just opened. So they have some really fun stuff. They have like rare Ferraris and a dinosaur skull and a bunch of really fun cards and stuff. So if you come to New York, go through the Raleigh Museum.
Raleigh?
Yeah.
Cool. Dope. That's a good suggestion.
What is your dream country to visit?
Oh shoot, I think like Bali. Maybe I would love to go to like one of the islands.
That's not a country.
Oh shoot, Indonesia.
Yeah, you got it.
I screwed that up.
Michael calling you out.
Good point.
What is a Web 2 brand that's going to take Web 3 by storm in 2024 that we don't see coming?
Whoa.
Oh shoot, so many are already here. I did a list of like top 100 brands, and like over half of them are already like building. I will say Amazon.
That'd be sick.
But we'll see.
Yeah. All right. My final question is, what is a book that changed your life?
From good to great.
Nice. Gotta check that out.
Thank you. Adding that to the list.
Yeah.
I'll look that up.
And my final is, who's your favorite stand-up comedian?
Neil Bredin.
Yep. I like Neil. Wrote for the Dave Chappelle show.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he's weird. It's not just like straight up chuckles. He goes a little bit deep, goes a little
No
raw.
doubt. Yep.
But he's a good guy.
Yeah, I like Neil. Neil's funny for sure. He has a good special. I saw a special a year or two ago came out. I remember. It was a good one.
Yeah, his crazy one is called 3 Mics, I think. And he's got like it's like one mic is like stand-up monologues, one is one-liners, and then the third mic is like, what does he call it? Just like raw emotional junk or something. And so he'll basically walk between the 3 mics for the whole set and go in and out of these different formats. It's pretty fun.
That I've never seen. That I need to check out.
Yeah, that's unique.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you, Josh John, so much for joining us on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. We appreciate you. And thank you for all your knowledge, your wisdom. Good luck at the Yacht Club open house. We didn't get a chance to talk about that, but congrats on being invited to speak.
Thanks.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, that's sick. Totally forgot about that. Yeah, that's sick, man. Enjoy that
it'll
trip.
be fun. We're talking about doing a panel on Made by Apes and kind of IP and Web3. Got some really great guests, and should be a good time.
Yeah. They invited me to speak, but I had to decline.
Yeah, I had to turn it down. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a long flight.
No, yeah, right.
It's a long flight. Yeah, that was why he said no.
Uh-huh.
Okay, cool. Well, with that said, appreciate you all for tuning into this episode of the NFT Catcher podcast, and we will catch you in the next one. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFT Catcher podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned something new about the exciting world of NFTs. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you really love what you're hearing, please leave us a rating and review on your favorite platform. If you want to stay up to date with the latest news and insights from the NFT space, be sure to follow us on all the socials at NFT Catcher Pod. You can follow Jennifer at Jennifer_pseudo and Michael at NFTicket. I'm your producer, Andy, and I'm at AJC254. Our theme song's by It's Just Los. We always appreciate your feedback and support, which helps us reach more people and bring you informative and engaging content about NFTs. We look forward to bringing you more great NFT content in future episodes. Thanks for listening. Peace.